Hello, friends. Happy Friday. It is a dreary day here in Chicago. Oh my goodness, my camera is going sideways here. Let me fix that. Sorry about that. But I hope you all have better weather where you're coming from. Today, I want to talk with you all about failure and quitting and giving up and how you can shift your perspective on that. And today I have a little bit of a story to kind of show what that looks like. And I've heard before several times actually that, and I don't even know where this came from, if it's a quote or maybe it's not a quote, it's just kind of one of those sayings that gets passed around. But anyway, it goes like this. It says, the only way that you fail is to quit. And, I have been thinking about that a lot lately because those of you all who know me well or saw my post at the beginning of the year, you know that I started a Grateful Jar at the beginning of the year. And I was gung-ho and I cut up strips of paper, plenty of paper, and I found my orange pen that I was going to write these with, and I put all three of these things next to my bed, on my bedside table, so that every night when I went to sleep, there was no excuse for me to pick up a piece of paper, write what I was grateful for, and drop it into the jar. If I forgot about it, I didn't have to convince myself like, oh, get out of bed, it takes 2 seconds, or any of that kind of thing. It was right there. It was as simple as I could have possibly made it for myself to accomplish. And I was doing really, really well. I mean, you can see there's quite a few slips of paper in here. And so well that in March, when I went to Colorado, I actually packed, I took these slips of paper, I put them inside the jar, I dropped the pen inside the jar, and I put it in my suitcase and I took it to Colorado with me so that I would not miss a day. Like the whole jar went with me, not just, 5 slips of paper and the pen enough to last that trip. It was the whole jar. I took it with me. And even on that trip, I filled out a slip of paper every single day and I was committed. And then I got home from my trip. And when I got home, this wonderful little jar sat in my suitcase for 3 or 4 days, maybe. Not that long, but it was enough that I completely got out of my habit, because today is the 250th day of the year, and clearly you all can tell, even though it's a pretty hefty jar, there's definitely not 250 sheets of paper in this jar. And even after I did finally pull it out of my suitcase, not a single sheet of paper has gone into this jar since I got back from Colorado in March. You all, now it is September. And even when I pulled it out of my suitcase and put it back on my bedside table, and it was simple for me again, and it was, a reminder every night when I got into bed, just fill this out and drop it in. It takes 20 seconds, a moment of reflection. Instead of thinking simply grateful, all I could think was simply a failure, because I had not stuck to the commitment that I made to myself at the beginning of the year, because I knew my plan was to have 365 slips of paper so that next year, every day, I could pull one out and be reminded of what this year was and be reminded of the things that I was grateful for. And it came to a point where all I could think about is, well, I'm not going to be able to pull these out next year. Like, that didn't work. Or it was a great idea while it lasted. Or I just felt so deflated and disappointed in myself. And so not only did I miss months and months of this simple act, but I beat myself up about it. But this is where the shift in perspective comes in, and I'm doing it with you here today because, as I had mentioned in the beginning, you only fail if you quit. And that is the awesome thing about our goals, about this Simply Grateful jar, about commitments that we make to ourselves, is that there's always an opportunity to reboot, to restart, to refresh. And so today I've already written down what I'm grateful for, and it's going to be backwards for you all, but I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. So I marked today's date, September 7th, 2018, and I wrote, I'm grateful for a reboot, a fresh start, for not quitting. And so I'm going to fold it up, and I'm going to drop it in my jar. And after this video is over, I'm going to take this back to my bedside table, and it's going to be there for me tomorrow night and the next night and the next night. And I'm going to recommit to owning this and having a single sheet of gratitude in this jar between now and December 31st. And when December 31st rolls around, instead of being disappointed by the chunk of time in the middle of the year that I missed, I'm going to choose to be excited for all the moments that I get to read through and remember throughout the year that were proud moments for me, that were moments that I'm grateful for, that were things that happened, that were feelings that I had, reminders throughout the day. So just a little reminder. So my question for you is, what have you put on the back burner? What have you not given the time it deserves? What have you gotten out of the habit of that you once had such a strong commitment to? And I challenge you today, not tomorrow, not sometime this weekend, not on Monday, but today I challenge you to reboot, refresh, restart your commitment to that goal. You all have an awesome weekend. Mwah.